Hello, happy Tuesday. This is, I think, my favorite day of the week, Career Accelerator Day. So we're going to give you 3 segments and 3 sets of tips on how to be an effective leader, how to better get that job, get that resume in shape. So let's kick things off right now with Roxi Hewertson joining us from Cornell University Studios in upstate New York in Ithaca. Hey there, Roxy. You are a CEO of Highland Consulting Group and a leadership expert. So I guess
Hi, Lauren.
Thanks for coming in. Good morning. I guess you want to start off with some ways you would suggest being an effective leader and why that is so important.
Well, Lauren, you know, it's really interesting how simple some of these things can be and how people just don't do them. So let's just talk first about knowing yourself and knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are. A lot of people don't get the information about how they're doing well and how they're not doing well, so they don't make the efforts to change and to improve their behaviors, and that gets them into trouble.
So you have to look internally a little bit, realize what type of person you are, understand how you react to things emotionally, and then what you're good and bad at. So it's internal.
Absolutely. Well, it starts with internal.
Yep.
That's right, Lauren. It starts with internal.
Okay.
You have to know yourself first before you can know others.
But wouldn't you say, especially with a leader, that's someone who's probably a little bit more stubborn and type A, if I'm stereotyping here, they might be less inclined to say, oh, well, this is a negative characteristic that I have, right? Maybe less inclined to acknowledge it?
Yes, that gets us into the confidence versus arrogance arena, and arrogance shows up like that, where you're not open to your own learning, and you're not a continuous learner.
Right.
Leaders who don't continue to learn keep falling into big traps.
Obviously, as we're seeing right now in Washington. Can we talk about that for a little bit? You know, we have a new administration. President Obama gets a second term. Congress still very much divided. What would you say, what would your suggestion to Congress and the President be, especially now as we have this fiscal cliff on our hands?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, I think we have a financial crisis the world over because we have a leadership crisis the world over, and that's here at home is the same problem. One of the issues around arrogance is when people don't listen to each other and don't really hear each other and find common ground. And until our leaders, or at least the people we've elected as leaders, 535 of them in the legislature and the president and the vice president, until they can listen to each other and find common ground, they're not really leading us.
Are you calling
None of them are.
Them arrogant, Roxy?
I'm saying there's arrogance within our politics, and there's arrogance in world leadership worldwide.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't see so many failed companies. We wouldn't see so many failed governments.
Right.
It starts at the top, Lauren. It always starts at the top.
Yeah. If you can think of a company or an executive or a politician who has great leadership skills, someone that we should try to emulate, who or what would that be?
Well, the classic example is Herb Kelleher at Southwest Airlines. I know he's retired now, but what he created and what he did, he's created a model that so many people could emulate, and it's amazing to me. All the rest of the airlines are watching what he's doing and watching what he did, and they don't pay attention. It's mind-boggling when you see a great leader doing great things and nobody pays any attention to what he's doing. You know, that's arrogance.
You mean nobody's paying attention to what he's doing? What do you mean?
Well, what I'm saying is that you take a great leader who does wonderful things with his people, with his customers, with his bottom line.
Right.
And that was an airline that for way over 2 decades always showed a profit. And who else does that?
I got you.
So that would be an example. Obviously, Steve Jobs.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. But you could check 2 bags for free at Southwest, the only airline that lets you do that. Yes, Steve Jobs, definitely an excellent leader. Well, in your opinion, why is Steve? I'm sure we all have our own reasons, but why would you say Steve Jobs is a great leader? or was?
Great vision, communicated his vision. Great vision, communicated his vision. His people knew who he was. He told the truth to his people. I'm not going to say Steve Jobs didn't have any arrogance, but he had a lot more confidence than he had arrogance, and in my opinion, anyway. And he did just a magnificent job of knowing why and explaining why people should be excited about what Apple was creating. He didn't just sell the what, he sold the why, and was able to get everybody on board with his vision.
Yeah.
People who do that get people excited and inspired. If you're not excited and inspired, why would I follow you?
So you need to show a passion, be optimistic, listen to other people, have a very clear vision, and it's you know, they all seem so obvious, like, yay, we can all be great leaders, but it really is a difficult thing to do. So can you go through, and we have a full screen of this we can put up, of the 5 things that leaders who fail, the things that they commonly do, and one of them is obviously discounting what other people feel and think about things.
Absolutely. You know, the Marines say 3 things: know yourself, know your people, and know your stuff. And the places where leaders fail a lot is knowing their people and knowing themselves. So when you don't know your people and you don't know yourself, what happens is you end up blaming everybody else for what goes wrong, when in fact, when you're the leader, it's your responsibility. Either you didn't prepare them well, or you didn't choose the right people, or you didn't hold people accountable, or you didn't give them the information they needed. You know, we can't keep passing the buck back to other people when we're leaders. We just can't.
The blame game, it can get really ugly, and honestly, it's a waste of time most of the time. You know, it's like, just accept responsibility. You were in charge. It's like all those, The Apprentice and Project Runway, all those reality shows when they give the team a leader. The leader, honestly, you know, if their team fails, they usually are out of the competition.
Absolutely. Wouldn't it be nice if that were the case in business?
I know.
You know, when you're, but what happens is, that there's a lot of finger pointing, even in this election. Look at all the finger pointing that's going on. That's not what should be happening. What people need to do is take stock and understand what happened in terms of leading. Leading starts at the top. Period. End of story. And people who try to make it happen somewhere else are barking up the wrong tree.
Hey, Roxy, you also say here, as part of the things that failing leaders do, is they miss key organizational clues. What do you mean by that?
Absolutely. So imagine this. Imagine that the culture of the organization expects you to talk to your customers, and your arrogance says, I know what the customers know better than they do. So you're going to fail in 2 ways. First of all, you're going to go against your culture, and second of all, you're going to misread your customers, and you're going to blow your plan. So you could build a whole strategy on what you think is best for your customers, and it could be completely the opposite. So that's you know what I'm saying? And people do that all the time. I see leaders guessing what their customers want, guessing what their customers value, and we all have customers. It doesn't matter what sector we're in.
Right.
Politics, government,
investors,
business, nonprofit. Investors, right, exactly.
You also say here, and I think I'm a little confused on this one, avoid dealing with and resolving conflicts. Why would you want to... failing leaders, they should resolve conflicts,
do that.
And they don't. Okay, I read that wrong. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
bad reading comprehension on my part. Okay, and then some people isolate themselves from others. Really? Why would someone do that? Of course you're a bad leader if you
I've worked
yourself. Yeah, go ahead.
I've worked with leaders who create a little cadre of people around them, this little tight little group, and don't reach out to others. And consequently, they have poor networks, poor peer relationships, and they can't get things done. This would sort of be like gridlock.
Yeah, we've all seen that. You know, I could name people right now, but I will not. Roxi Hewertson, thank you so much for joining us. Your website, Highland Consulting Group, Inc.com, is on the screen. You're the CEO there. And thanks for giving us your tips on how to be an effective leader. I think people south of me right now in Washington, D.C. should be listening to right now.